Welcome back to another Junkman's Adventures video. We're repairing this stove again. If your stove is not working or it seems like it has no power, I have another video right up here that you can see how to fix that. But today we're having a problem with the convection fan is not running. And how I figured that out is when we're running the stove, we had it in convection mode, but I heard kind of a low hum, and looking through the glass, I saw that the fan was not running when it should have been running, and I suspect the problem is the motor. And I have a new one here in the box, and I'm going to show you how to replace it. It's pretty easy, and most people ought to be able to do this themselves. Obviously, with the racks out and obviously the oven cool, another way that I found out or diagnosed that it is the fan motor is taking a small screwdriver or something and turning the blades, and you can kind of hear that and this should spin. These fan blades should spin easily, like this, like the little fans blades. And this big one should spin, but it doesn't. There's obviously some resistance here, so that's another sign that tells me that it's the fan motor. So the first thing we got to do is take this cover off, which is 2 Phillips head screws here, and then we got to take the fan off. Alright, with the cover off, you can see this should spin freely like these fans here. Now you got to get this fan blade off, because you pull the motor out through the back, you got to take off this nut. Now this is a left-handed nut, meaning you have to turn it the opposite direction. So ignore what you've been taught. It goes the opposite. And just take your socket, loosen it, pull the fan off like that. Now we're ready to unplug the stove and pull it out from the wall. Alright, we got the back panel off. Obviously we have it plugged from the power, and temporarily I unhooked the motor so it wouldn't do any damage to any other circuitry, and this is the connector for it, and I just taped it up for the time being until I got the new part in. And here's the new motor, and one thing I noticed, it's the correct motor, but the connector I'm going to have to modify, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later. We've got to take this motor out first. It's only held in here by 3 Phillips head screws. Okay. And I want to show you here, even gripping this, you can see I can't hardly turn it by hand, and yeah, I can tell that the commutators in the motor are shot, and the bearing is out, and that's what caused this thing to fail. So it's quite simple. We just install this little cap here and this sleeve, and we install it the same way we took it out. And I'll show you how to modify that connector next. Okay, here's what I'm talking about in the connector. See, these 2 clips need to go on these 2 prongs. But obviously, on the old motor, they were closer together, so obviously it won't go on, or I can put it on one. Now we can deal with this a couple different ways. I can either cut this plastic connector off and get these out and stick it on there, which is probably what I'm going to do, or I could actually clip these wires and put some connectors, crimp some new connectors, and notice there's 2 wires going to each one, so you'd want to make sure you put them exactly the other way. But in this case, it wouldn't matter which way you'd go, but we just need to modify this connector to get those wires to clip onto there. Okay, here's what I did. Just with a pair of side cutters, I just carefully nipped away at the connector to get the 2 connectors out, so I could just stick them on to the motor like this. And it doesn't matter that they're not shielded, because your hands are not going to be back here to touch them. But if you are worried, wrap a little electrical tape around there, and you'll be good to go. But now all we're ready to do is put the fan back on, put that cover back on, and she should fire right up. Okay, it's time to put the fan on. And as you notice, there's a little detent here. Make sure you line it up on the new shaft. Otherwise, you won't be able to turn or screw the fan all the way in. And remember, it's the opposite of the way it normally would. Screw it in. Get your socket. And we don't need to be like super tight here. That's good. And as you can see, it turns real easy. And obviously, it goes without saying, to replace the other motors, you just do the same thing. And we just put the cover on and we can test it. As you can see, it was running. We hit the off button and it came to a stop, so it's running. That was our problem. Well, that's as simple as it is. I think most anybody can do this repair. So if your oven is not working and you suspect it's the fan, there's how you fix it. Appreciate you watching this video. Check out the other video. If you don't have power to the display, that's a simple fix as well. And I appreciate you watching. Check out my website. Check out my Facebook, my Twitter, and thanks for watching.